This ExamSoft quick tip is about hotspot questions, how to make them and how to use them in ExamSoft. Hotspot questions are a visual true-false question. You provide an image to the student, and in order for them to get credit for that question, they have to drop a pointer on a specific part of that image, the part that you've defined to be correct. There are no gray zones, however, so the student either has to select the actual spot that you selected, or they don't get the answer right. There's no gray zones. And as of now, the area that's considered correct in a hotspot question has to be defined as a rectangular shape. Hopefully, eventually, ExamSoft will incorporate other shapes into their correct region definition, but right now it does have to be a rectangle. So when you want to make a new hotspot question, you have to go to the questions part of the portal. You can do that either by selecting questions here or selecting the create questions blue circle right here. And I'll show you how to do this in 1 second. The question that we're going to use for an example today is this one, where we're providing an image, a stylized image of the solar system, the planets in the solar system. And the question for the students is put your pointer on the planet Venus. So in order for them to get this right, they need to select the second planet from the sun. Okay, so let's move over to ExamSoft and I will show you how to do this. So I'm just going to click on the questions tab at the top of the screen, and you'll see that there is a create hotspot option right here at the top. So let's just select that. One of the first things that you should do when you create a new question is select what folder you want the question to be saved in. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to save it in my portal test folder, and I'm going to go ahead and give it a title right now. I'm going to call it actually I think I'll call it solar system. Okay, so let's put, this is the template that we need to work with, and the first thing that we need to do is put in the stem of the question. So I'm just going to grab that right from my presentation. I'm going to copy that in and paste that here. Oops, paste is plain text. Oh, it's not wanting to do that. Alright, I'll just type it in. Put your pointer on the planet Venus. I think it was doing it, it was just making it white so I couldn't see it. Okay, so the next thing to do is to provide the image that we want the students to see. So I'm going to click on here, and then I have this solar system image on my desktop. I'm going to say OK, and it came in. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to define the region of this image that we are defining as correct. So like I said, it has to be a rectangular image. So you just kind of click and drag until you've selected the region that you want to consider correct. And you can move that around just by clicking with this 4-point arrow. Because the actual planet is round and I'm defining a rectangular box, we're kind of giving some areas on the corners of this rectangle that if a student selected the pointer or put the pointer in there, the system would consider this correct. So we're being a little bit extra lenient, but I think that's a better way to do it. The alternative way is to be a little more conservative, where you make this box really small, and so the box is within the whole region of the planet. But in this case, if students selected kind of these boundary areas that are outside the rectangle, they're technically selecting the planet, but then we're going to say that they got it wrong. So I think it's better to be a little bit less conservative and give the students the benefit of the doubt that if they're selecting anywhere in this region, they probably know that this is the planet Venus. Okay, so once we've defined that area, and as of now you can only define one correct area per image, so you can't ask questions that would require the students to put more than one pointer on an image, unfortunately. And you can't even build up complicated shapes with multiple boxes. It just has to be one rectangular box at this time. So we'd want to go ahead and approve this question for use. I'll go ahead and do that. Now we can include this on an assessment and deploy the assessment to the students. So I'm going to flip over to Exemplify and show you what the students see when they're doing a hotspot question. So this is exactly how it's presented to the students. You'll see that they are given no hint as to what the correct region of this image is. They do have tools for zooming in and out of the image as they want. So if they want to make this bigger, they can do that. And it even gives them this little direction. Select your answer by clicking on the desired location on the image below. To move a pin, click another location on the image. To remove a pin, click it once. So if I selected here, you'll see this blue pin shows up. But I've realized, nope, this is Jupiter, not Venus. So if I hover over it, the X icon shows up and I can click it again and remove my pin. So I'm going to go ahead and click Venus, and it is recording the correct area as the point of the pin, not the top. So as long as my point is within that box that we defined, it will be considered a correct response. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation here. So I just wanted to mention some considerations or caveats when using hotspot questions. First of all, if you want to see how all the students in your class responded, the easiest way to do that, actually the only way to do that right now, is you have to go into the assessment and then go to the Adjust Scoring tab. And when you do that, you find the question, click on it, and it will show you an image similar to this. This is obviously for a different question than we were playing with, but in this case, you see each of these red dots is what a student selected for the right answer in this question, and the yellow rectangle is what the keyed correct area was. So as long as a student selected within this yellow box, they got the question correct. If they selected outside the box, they got the question wrong. If you want to see how an individual student responded, you can't really click on these dots and get that information. What you have to do is you have to run individual strengths and opportunities reports for the students, and a similar image will appear in their strengths and opportunity report with just the one dot that they selected. Unfortunately, there is no way to do a score adjustment of this rectangular box after the fact, and it is really unfortunate because sometimes after you've given a question you realize that you were maybe too conservative in your box definition, and that's what happened in this case, where the answer to this question was the nose, and so a lot of the students selected the bridge of the nose, which was technically a correct response, but because these were not within the box that was defined, the system marked these responses as incorrect. So in order to actually give the students credit for this question, the instructors had to go in and run strengths and opportunity reports for all the students and see where each individual student put their pointer, and then they had to do a manual score adjustment to give them the credit for the question if they were in this region. So hopefully over time ExamSoft will allow a score adjustment that is a redefinition of this rectangle. Alright, that is all I wanted to talk about about hotspot questions today. If you had any questions or wanted to try to implement these types of questions in your own assessments, please contact the Office of Assessment and we'd be happy to help in any way we can. Thank you.